Live from the BDN Studios, it's Bang and Dang.
That's awesome.
If you don't like that, then
You ain't black.
welcome back to Outlaws and Gunslingers. We are nearing the end of the Prohibition era. What, 2, 3 episodes maybe?
I don't know. I'm stopping saying that because every time I say that, I go find some more info for another episode. So less than 5, I'll give you that.
Right. And we're getting to the bottom of it. And Prohibition era is probably my second best subject so far in Outlaws and Gunslingers.
Wow. That makes perfect sense.
Yeah. That was Wild Wild West and his Prohibition. Wild Wild West. Wild Wild West. If you notice, the Wild Wild West, we spanned from 1850 to 1900. Maybe 1910 was like our latest.
Well, if you want to get technical, Wyatt Earp died in like 30 something,
Right,
40 something,
right.
whatever it was.
Yeah. So we spent 50 years on the Wild Wild West, and we're spending 10 years from every other fucking 10 to 15 years on any other category.
Well, I don't know. A lot of these Prohibition ones have started in the
15, 19.
right early teens,
So 20
going,
years
and
to
when
33, 34, right?
I mean, and
20
we
years.
always talk about their later life, so we're going into the 50s, 40s, and 60s, some cases.
Some cases.
You know, so
I get it. It's working out.
it's kind of where their main crimes take place. But I mean, it's a biography of the people.
What I've likened so far is the advancement in life, but not really. You know what I mean? Like everything still was the same as Wild Wild West, but it was just you had cars now, you got electricity in most places, probably more places than not. I guess in the 20s, everywhere, right? You got telephones now, and you got silent movies are starting to come about right about now.
What, in the 20s?
Yeah.
Silent movies been around since like 1905.
Yeah, but like movies where they got better and better. It was like 1920s where you really start watching movies. I tried watching a movie the other day from 1911 or something like that. And I mean, I guess back then it would have been phenomenal, right? Seen something on screen like that. But it doesn't compare if you watch something from like 1920 to 1930. It doesn't compare. Because, of course, it's not anything.
Just like you watch something from the 1930s, it's not going to compare to the
Well-
1960s. And
Well-
it keeps going online.
Well, that stops at like 19 in the 60s, really, because you can watch a movie from the 60s, actually 50s. You can watch movies from 50s, 60s on up and be way more interested in it than anything today, really. And it'd be better product, better acting. The only thing is, if you notice, though, the women and the men all talk and act the same. You know what I mean? It's weird. They have the same accent.
Hey, my dear.
Right. And back then, it was all talking in the same. But it was good shit.
Where are we going with this?
We're not going anywhere with this. We're just saying that it's fascinating how different,
How different eras are different.
Right. We just left the.
It's not really that fascinating. It's called evolution.
Well, we just left the. But the thing is, we jumped, like I said, 30, 40 years. Because Wild Wild West, we really only focused around 1860 to 1890. Really never even ventured into the 1900s or anything. Maybe like to talk about when they died or something. But the main part of the stories were in 1800 still. And now we're jumping up to like the 1920s, 1925, 1930. It's totally different.
Yeah, but a lot of these guys, their crime and shit starts in the early teens. So.
Right.
I mean,
But the major part of the stories are in the 20s.
all right. Prohibition.
Right. And if you go back to our Wild Wild West, like I said, the major part of the stories were like the 1870s, 1880s, 1890s. So you're talking 30 to 40 year difference. But like I said, too, there's so many similarities, so many similarities, but it's also 100% different at the same time, if you catch my drift there, right? The way I see it, I think it's getting more organized and more, how can I go from more than organized? More organized, more
Established. It's getting more organized because Prohibition was the rise of organized crime.
Right.
So
Getting more organized.
you're onto something there, bud.
More organized, more established.
10 episodes into Prohibition, you're finally figuring it out.
But it's like, it's not these little fucking, little boom towns anymore. Now we're going into these big cities.
It's big time.
Right. Going into these big cities. So you got guys running 3 boom towns, basically, in midst of the city, where another guy 3 blocks down is running the same. Like Chicago, New York, Detroit, back in the day.
Oh, I'm willing to bet little towns that were all throughout the United States during Prohibition probably had their
right, but they're still getting
infamous criminals and fucking bootleggers that were running them little towns.
But at the very top, it was still getting ran by a main guy in a big city. Like, let's say
not like the deep South or even still in the West at this time.
I don't know about the deep South. Yeah, I'm saying Midwest where we're at.
Oh, of course.
All that, yeah. But no, down like Alabama or like Missouri or something.
Or still like Arizona, Nevada, all that.
Right.
I'm sure during the 1920s, Arizona, Nevada, and all that shit was still fucking
doing whatever.
Still fucking pretty wild. I would assume.
I would say so. That's why we need to find out more about that. Wild West in the 1920s during Depression era. But there's a couple little stories on that. It's just fascinating. I mean, every little category that we're gonna jump into from here on out is just gonna be. We're never going to want to leave the category. It's going to be like, there's got to be more. That's the way I feel now. Even with Wild West, I wasn't really ready. I was like, oh, man, well, I guess. There's plenty more we can do with the Wild West. But now we're in Prohibition era, and guess what? We've been talking about El Capone, Nookie. We've been talking about, I forget all their names that we even talked about.
Bugsy.
Yeah, Bugsy. Talking about Luciano. We talked about the Purple Gang. We talked about
John Ashley, Bill McCoy.
He's the Gator guy. Ashley's the Gator guy. King of Everglades.
No, that's
Yep.
Wait.
Yep.
No, that was Bill McCoy.
No, Bill McCoy wasn't King of Everglades.
Yes, he was.
No, Bill McCoy was.
Oh yeah,
the real McCoy.
Ashley, yeah, right. Ashley was the King of the Everglades.
Yeah, we got Bill McCoy. You guys ever heard the real McCoy? That shit is the real McCoy right there. That's because this boy down in Florida he used international waters to his favor.
George Remus.
Everybody knows George Remus.
Yeah.
Now you do. We had a serial killer in there, didn't we?
For the Wild West, we didn't release that on here. We did H.H. Holmes.
We did H.H.
But not for this platform.
That could be a different show. That's in the works there, guys. I mean, back up. Anywho, fucking around. Who cares? You guys know what we did. We're focusing on women. Everybody knows that men ran shit, like I just said.
There's a significance to this. In our 30 whatever episodes we've done so far, we've never done an episode focused on women.
How do we not do a Calamity Jane for fucking Wild West?
Yeah, her story wasn't really that. She was a scout for the Army and went to Deadwood.
That's right. That's about that.
Nothing you can really say about her.
So we're talking about women in Prohibition on this episode. We all know that women bootleggers were not unheard of. In fact, there may have been more women bootleggers than men. Here's why.
Okay.
The women of moonshine had substantial advantages over men.
Yeah, they had tits and pussy.
Right. For starters, they had tits and pussy. Wait, no. For starters, they were much harder to detect and arrest than men were, simply because it was illegal to search a woman in those days. So, I mean...
Right. How many women cop were there, first of all?
Right.
So it's not like you can call on a woman to search these people.
Back then, it was still... You had to stand up when a woman walked into a room.
Right. Ma'am.
All that good shit. Women took full advantage of this and actually hid moonshine in their persons. Some even taunted law enforcement to search
me,
them.
motherfucker. I bet you won't.
We ain't got nothing. I think it's on you, ma'am. Well, search me then if you think it's on me.
Nah.
Like, nah, we know it is.
Also in their favor was the fact that juries today were hesitant to convict a woman of the crime of bootlegging.
Right.
Well, they simply refused to believe that a woman could do such a thing. No.
Yeah, you weren't. No judge would hear a case like that.
Ain't no way Betsy is doing that. She's too good of a woman.
Right. Because they even if she was being coerced by men, right? So,
well, women were less likely to be suspected of practicing the craft of moonshine, but history tells the story of many women who did just that. And we're going to cover them right here. Well, these women kept a low profile and were not confrontational. Of course If a woman was caught, she had a hard time convincing the sheriff that the discovered still was really hers. Right. So even if she admitted to it,
right, It's like, you got me. It's mine. There's no way.
No way, ma'am.
Who's backing you?
Right. There's no way that you're doing this all on your own, ma'am.
You're okay. We're here for you.
Right. Is he hitting you?
Yeah. Is he
tell us?
Is he doing any harm for you? I'm telling you, you got every immunity ever. We know you ain't doing nothing wrong. Just let us know.
She's like, listen here, you stupid bastard. She goes and like fucking stills everything and makes a bottle of moonshine real quick in front of their eyes. Like, nah.
No.
Still don't believe it.
No.
You're a woman. You can't do anything that a man can do.
Right. Well, many times male bootleggers would hire women to ride along with them on the moonshine deliveries because they knew the police were less likely to stop them with the woman in the car, which is very true back then.
Right.
Unless you're in a high trafficking area, then you have to be suspect, right? Then
you would have to assume that police knew.
And plus, they know you, so
you would have to assume that police knew women were fucking used as traffickers.
I think they did. Well, the word on the street was that no decent federal agent would hold up a car that had a woman in it.
Okay.
Well, see, in those days, there were alcohol smuggling syndicates. They knew about the legal loopholes involving women and illegal alcohol. So they recruited women to work with them. And as time went on, women bootleggers outnumbered men 5 to 1.
5 to 1.
That was the first mistake.
Right. Well, there's many, like we just said, bootleggers. Here we're going to profile about 4 or 5 of them. A couple of them with some major stories, major women in the fold. About 4 or 5 of these women.
Right.
There's way more, and they're...
I'm pretty sure there's a movie I watched not too long ago where a guy back in the 20s was like a private investigator, and he came into a small town, and a woman was actually running the fucking...
Operation.
Yeah, operation, yeah. And he was like, this is... Pardon me, it's just weird. And also it reminds me of the Sopranos episode when he goes to Italy, too. He's like, it's just weird that you're fucking running this shit. Are you fucking serious? And he was like, I'm gonna fuck you. And she's like, no, you're not.
No. Yeah, she took over because her dad died.
Right.
And second of all, she's the one that wanted to fuck Tony.
Right.
And Tony said no.
I know it was. I was just saying if you fucking knew, bud.
Of course I know. I'm an expert. I watched the whole series once.
But that was, that right there wasn't her wanting to fuck him. She was a smart bitch.
No, she wanted to fuck him.
But there's also other agendas.
No, she wanted to fuck him.
Well, she wanted to fuck him, but she also knew she was smart enough to know there's other things that could happen because of this.
She wanted to fuck him.
Right.
What do you mean other things that could happen? She didn't fuck him and sent one of her best guys to go with him to America.
That's because that gave her even more...
Isn't that ironic,
That gave her even more respect for him.
Isn't that ironic?
Right.
She wanted to fuck him, send one of his best guys over to America with her that wanted to fuck his wife.
Yeah, and then and they both wanted to fuck each other.
Yeah. Then he's like, look, I got to get the fuck out of here.
He's like, I already know.
I'm going to get my ass killed.
If this mob out in the United States is as bad as it is in Italy, I'm dead.
Well, he'd already been there.
Right.
And killed a bunch of people for Tony, and
Yeah,
they've
but
already
still.
been doing a bunch of shit.
Yeah, but still, he knew that's how smart he was.
I think he was there when Pussy got killed, wasn't he? Not like on the boat, but
No,
he
was
in America.
I don't know if he was in America at that time.
He might have been.
I don't know if he
might
was.
have been.
He might have been. But like I'm saying, though, when he got there, he thought he could have been, it's America. Then he's like, oh, no, this is the same mob that's in Italy. Yeah, I got to go. I'll be back where I fucking could be protected because here I'm dead.
Well, he went back to Italy when his dad died or whatever, or his grandma died.
And he knew
and he talked to his dad, and
Right.
he was like, I fell in love with the boss's wife. And his dad was like, they'll fucking kill you, dude.
Right.
And that's when he came back and then was like, yeah, I'm leaving.
Well, when he came back, he was instantly different.
Yeah.
You can't do that. That's the problem
Well,
with
remember,
people.
he brought the kids gifts, and
Right.
Carmela was all excited, looking in the bag, and didn't see nothing for her.
Yeah.
So she was like, oh.
Yep, that's it.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, but enough of the Sopranos fucking review. Like I said, we're profiling at least about 5 or 6 women here. First one of those women is called Maggie Bailey, who was known as the Queen of the Mountain Bootleggers.
Hey.
Maggie Bailey began making moonshine at the age
So
of...
she's probably down in Kentucky and Tennessee and shit like that, West Virginia. Right?
Well, Maggie Bailey began making moonshine at the age of 17, and it became her life's work. She lived in Clovertown in Harlan County, Kentucky.
Hey.
People in the community of Clovertown loved Maggie. She would help anyone who had fallen on hard times and even help send some local kids to college.
Of course she did.
Well, Maggie looked like anyone's grandmother.
Right.
She wore a dress. She wore a house dress and an apron every single day. So this bitch...
And she was.
This chick is just, Yeah, your average granny on the
She
street.
cared about everybody, but she also knew the bullshit, and she was mean enough to take care of the bullshit. You know what I mean? She was like everybody loved. John Gotti.
Yeah, Joseph Gotti.
John Gotti. Everybody loved him. Streets were safer when he was around. I mean, there's plenty of interviews if you look. Yeah, they're all Italian Americans, but so what? They're fucking citizens, right?
Yeah, we've covered this before.
Maggie Bailey never drank but continued to sell moonshine well into her 90s.
All right, Maggie.
She called herself an old bootlegger.
When you're doing it in your 90s, I would think you would consider yourself old.
Oh, I'm just an old bootlegger.
I'm just an old bootlegger. You know,
just an old bootlegger.
Don't worry about it, baby.
She says she started selling moonshine to help her family make ends meet.
Oh, is that what?
If you were in the market for a batch, all you had to do was pull around the back of her house, and she'd load you up a truck, all you wanted.
Load you up your truck.
Right. Anything you wanted in that truck, it's loaded. Well, Maggie never sold to children or people that she called drunkards. So never any,
Ain't no fucking.
This wasn't a crack house. This wasn't a dope house.
It's not a liquor store.
Right.
Ain't no fucking drunk dude stumbling into her yard. Maggie, sell me a fucking bottle. He's like, get the fuck out of here, you peasant bitch.
No, I'm going to do it. I'm going to make a bunch of money. See that guy?
She's
see that guy just pulled off? Follow him.
She's like, I won't sell to you personally, but I will sell to people that will sell to you personally.
Right, that's what you're saying. You see that guy just pulled off? Follow him. He'll sell you anything you need, motherfucker.
She was a smart woman and had educated herself on the Fourth Amendment.
Nice.
She knew about search and seizure and could quote certain cases backward and forward.
Nice.
Well, Maggie had a great personality and was only convicted of moonshining once in her long career, though the entire community knew of her dealings.
I mean, she was loved, and she was a small time.
Her wherever she, like I said,
right.
Wasn't I just talking about this?
I think the only time I bet you the only time she ever got convicted, it was like a fucking.
Wasn't I just talking about this though?
Total mishap.
There's people like her,
right, everywhere
in these small fucking country towns that are running her town
everywhere
because they're the main bootlegger supplier on there, so they're running that shit.
They're not all like Maggie, super nice and shit.
Obviously,
dickheads. But this is one of the good ones. And was she really doing anything wrong? Yeah, because she was breaking the law. But other than that,
technically.
But was she really? Will we know any deaths accredited to her?
It ain't her, babe. It ain't her.
Right. Well, unfortunately,
that line she crossed was real.
Was real, and unfortunately, the liquid she was selling was illegal. Well, we move on next to the rum running queen. 26 years old, an outlaw. 1928, Willie Carter Sharp ran bootleg liquor across the Virginia state border. Many times the police were chasing her and shooting her tires.
Okay.
They dubbed her the rum running queen. Well, Willie said, it was the excitement that got me.
It was the excitement that got me,
She's like, oh boy, those cars scattering, dashing along the streets.
Bullets flying past my head.
Right. Ooh, or little, what would they call those hats that the women wore back then?
Little bonnets.
A little bonnet. My bonnet was coming loose.
Wait, is a bonnet a dress or is it a hat?
I don't know. We'll go with it.
I think a bonnet's a hat or a dress. I mean,
it could be. She lived in Franklin County, Virginia.
Oh, Virginia. Here's another small little little town that the mafia don't even know that exists right now.
I mean, they do, but they ain't fucking. It's been said that she hauled more than 220,000 gallons of her homemade moonshine between the years of 1926 and 1931.
Damn,
which I totally believe, and I guarantee you she just ran that shit because everybody was banking bank.
That's 50,000 gallons.
And it was her property, probably.
Well, that's 35,000 gallons a year she's fucking
35,000 gallons a year, and how much per fucking gallon do you think back then? I don't even know what the prices were, but it was a lot.
Well, she was probably selling...
She's at least bringing in $220,000. If you
right. I was gonna say she at least from 1926.
If it's $1,000 a gallon, which I think it probably was.
No, even if it's $1 a gallon.
Right, $1 a gallon, not 1,000.
If from 1926 to 1931, minimal amount she made is 220,000.
Right, and back then it was probably 3.5.
So let's say she even sold it for $2. That's 440,000. Then you sell it for $3. That's fucking.
It's more than that, though. I guarantee you that.
Well, right. So she's made $1 million.
$1 million, more than that.
Easily.
Right.
Easily.
Right. After paying help.
Well, if you factor in expenses, I'm sure she still made well over $1 million.
Right. She eventually was apprehended, though.
Of course she was.
At a trial, spectators were intrigued by the diamonds in her teeth.
Oh.
Whoa.
This bitch had diamonds in her teeth?
Shit. Was she the inspiration of let me see your grill? Let me see your grill.
What? Your grill. What? Your grill. Shine for me, Willie. What you looking at?
Yeah, well, I don't even know the song. It's Nelly, right?
Yeah.
Moving on.
These are shorter stories for some of these beginning women.
There's probably more if we dig into it.
No,
I'm sure.
Trust me, I went to
you can go to
every website that had the women of.
You go to Franklin County, Virginia, and look up the records.
I went to every website that has information on these chicks, and this is pretty much the same story that's told for like the most vague shit. They didn't know. They didn't know really much
because they're women.
Right.
Moving on.
Oh yeah, this one is about a lady Prohibition agent.
Right.
And she's very well known. She was Prohibition agent Daisy Simpson.
Prohibition agent Daisy Simpson. She was Pads.
Her home.
Go check out Pads. Padsy.
Pads.
Go check out Pads.
Her home office was in San Francisco, but she traveled to other cities like Chicago and New York.
Of course she did.
Well, Daisy went undercover. She used her own creative disguises and would spend time in local speakeasies.
So what is she doing at these speakeasies in the 1920s? I mean, come on.
Clearly.
By herself? A woman don't go in speakeasies by himself in the 1920s.
Why wouldn't they?
No, unless they're whores.
Okay.
So what happened? Did she whore herself out?
Well, she went to speakeasies, hotels, and restaurants. If the owners or bartenders tried to serve her alcohol, she would arrest them immediately.
Oh.
It's been said that Daisy had over 100 disguises. Did we do an
episode? This bitch is doing this by herself?
Did we do an episode on those two guys? We did, didn't we?
What two guys?
The two Prohibition agents that did disguises. Did we didn't do an episode on those guys yet?
I believe so.
I think we should. I was planning on it, but just never did.
I don't think we did. I think the only thing we
They don't have a very long story.
Elliot Ness.
Yeah.
The only thing we did.
Right.
Well, this lady has some balls going by herself, really. No backup or anything.
Oh, Daisy.
Well, she was as brazen as she was creative.
Okay. Look at Daisy.
One raid. She seized 8,000 gallons of wine. Daisy had been a delinquent in her youth and had hung out with in bars. And she hung out with questionable people.
She hung out with bars?
Right. So in bars with questionable people. But somewhere along the line, she turned over a new leaf. She probably was like, fuck this shit. She's probably one of the smart ones.
You think they got that saying, turn over a new leaf, because somebody was walking through the woods and like
flipped it over. With
the leaf was all like nasty and tattered or whatever from whatever was on it, and she flipped it over, or they flipped it over and it was like immaculate and like fucking had its color still, and they're like, oh, that's what I should do with my life.
What they call it, intuition or something? Yeah, is that what it is?
Intuition, would it be an epiphany or
epiphany, right?
Right.
Yeah. So she decided to turn over a new leaf, right?
Right.
Get back.
Right. New leaf.
Right. So Daisy had unique skills that were needed to fight what she saw.
Right. She has a particular set of skills. She's like,
right.
If you sell liquor, I will find you.
Right.
And I will arrest you.
She said, I see this as the evils of liquor. Mm-hmm. That was her thing. I think she wore a T-shirt that said that, evils of liquor or something.
I don't think they had T-shirts back in the day.
Maybe.
We'll have to look that up. When did like your typical T-shirt like we're wearing right now come into like mainstream wearing?
I bet it had been like the 30s and 40s. I guarantee.
I don't think you never saw. Did you ever see a picture of somebody wearing a T-shirt?
Yeah, but I bet you in the 40s everybody wore. So I'm going to have to say
that's probably 60s,
50s, 60s.
50s, man. 60s like
the white T-shirts.
Right.
The white T-shirts started coming around.
I think they always had undershirts. I'm sure. So
but they were like, hey, how about we just don't wear this?
How about we don't waste our time buttoning up this fucking shirt?
How about we just don't put it? How about we just don't waste our time putting that shirt on at all? Because we already have this shirt on.
Right.
And how about we make this shirt like blue, black, and gray, and
let's put a little pocket.
Put a little pocket, for pens and tobacco and shit.
What if we cut off the sleeves of some of these for the summertime?
Right.
Yeah.
At first, it would have been, how about we cut off the sleeves to about our elbows?
Right.
Because hey, we end up rolling these bitches up all the time anyway in the summertime. So let's have a set of long sleeve shirts.
Right. Like what old movie?
Let's have a set.
What movie have you ever seen or picture that you've seen from? Obviously the 1800s, but even early 1900s, you see like family on a farm or something. They're all wearing long sleeve fucking
shirts.
shit and like
Always.
that. Like you don't see a random 1920s photo with somebody in a t-shirt and shorts.
Right. Or even a short sleeve.
Right. Even if you do, it's like a young kid.
Because even them, all of them had the full. Nowadays they call it long johns, but they all had the full suit onesies that was long sleeves,
right,
for your underwear. So all the men are wearing these onesies that were a full bodysuit, basically. And then plus their thick-ass pants and their fucking stupid button-down shirts with fucking shit on their fucking collars.
Let's see. So apparently the origins of the T-shirt date back to the late 19th century, when laborers would cut their jumpsuits in half to keep cool in warmer months during the year.
Right, I mean, I would.
The first manufactured T-shirt was invented between the Mexican-American War in 1898 and 1913 when the U.S. Navy began issuing them as standard undershirts. See, undershirts.
All right.
Like this guy's wearing.
All right.
Well, even then, it took until 1920 for the actual term T-shirt to be inducted into the English dictionary, thanks to F. Scott Fitzgerald being the first person to publish the word in his novel This Side of Paradise.
I wonder why they call it a T-shirt, though.
Although the shirt was created in the early 20th century, it was rare to see it worn as anything other than an undershirt, which we said.
Right.
It wasn't uncommon to see veterans wearing a T-shirt tucked into their trousers post-World War II, but outside of that, T-shirts were almost exclusively used underneath proper clothes.
Right, you never seen a T-shirt unless you're at home.
Right. Well, then came Marlon Brando and James Dean. In 1950, Marlon Brando famously donned a white T-shirt as Stanley Kowalski in A Streetcar Named Desire. Okay, so yeah, 50s pretty much is when the old, so the fucking, the greaser gangs and all that shit, dude. Right.
They're like, fuck this shit, we're wearing T-shirts.
And then shortly after that, obviously,
wearing T-shirts and listening to fucking Chuck Berry.
you got your...
You're like, oh my gosh!
Shortly after that, you get your graphic T-shirts where they start printing shit on them.
Think about that.
Off it went.
We'll save that conversation when we get to the 50s.
So, like I said, like we basically alluded to before we looked this up, is yeah, they were wearing them mainly as undershirts, but then in the 1950s, the fucking greaser gangs came away, and
that's when that shit became.
And apparently, Marlon Brando and James Dean looking cool with their cigarettes rolled up in their fucking little sleeves and stuff.
And then you got the movies The Outsiders with their little cigarettes.
Well, the movie shirts. The Outsiders didn't come until the 80s or whatever
it was.
So.
About the 50s.
I understand that, but T-shirts were well worn before the Outsiders came along. We're talking about what inspired people to wear T-shirts.
Right.
People were already wearing T-shirts before the movie Outsiders came.
Yeah, and I said which we can see
people
that they
like
wore.
That. Right.
I said which they can see they wore T-shirts in the 50s because of the movie.
Right.
Come on.
Right. How the hell did we get on T-shirts?
I don't know because they said something about T-shirts.
No.
Where did it say T-shirts?
Didn't say anything about T-shirts. How the hell did we get on the fucking T-shirt?
I don't even know. Well,
either way, I'm sure it was here, and you guys know. So what we were talking about to get to here.
Right. I said that Daisy had unique skills that were needed to fight.
And she will find you and will arrest you.
Right. She knew what the evils of liquor were.
Right.
She believed that she was doing her duty for her country, and she was not afraid to stand up for what she believed in. And she was going to fight for the fucking truth.
For the fucking truth.
The justice.
Justice.
And the American way.
The American way.
Because look at me, I'm a woman. Hear me roar. I can't because I'm bleeding on my pussy. I have to run right quick.
Hear me soar.
Anybody got something to shove up my bloody pussy? It's bleeding.
Jeez. Do you have to get so graphic? This is a family.
Oh, no.
This is a family show.
Oh, no. Oh no. Oh, no.
She wasn't ready.
Right.
Moving on. And this is where our last two ladies we're going to cover. It's actually pretty decent stories. These are the only two women that I pretty much looked up that have a beginning.
Bessie?
A beginning. I knew you were going to do that. A beginning, a middle, and an end, like their whole life story told. Like these are pretty much the two.
Right. These are the main bitches.
Yeah. The two we're about to cover here, the two main in Prohibition era. Although we're cheating technically on this one that we're about to do because she operated mainly in Canada, but still
it affected the United States.
Right. Still had to highlight the women of Prohibition. So here we go.
It affected the United States.
Oh, Miss Bessie.
Bessie Starkman.
Bessie Starkman. Although there is some uncertainty about Bessia.
That's what I say.
Her real name's Bessia. Bessia Starkman's birthday. According to some sources, she was born in Poland on 14th of April, 1889, but her tombstone says June 21st, 1890.
Okay. Well, that's her tombstone, so.
She arrived in Canada with her parents, Shyman and Jello Starkman, around 1900. They lived in the working-class ward neighborhood of the downtown Toronto, where many newcomers to the city settled. She may have worked as a seamstress for the Eaton's department store in her youth as well.
That's fantastic.
See, still not much known about her childhood, though.
Right.
Like you could tell.
May have. You
could tell they really didn't profile women or keep track of what women were doing back in the day.
At roughly the age of 18. Bessie?
Bessie?
She was known.
As she was known, right?
Right. she married Harry Thompson, also recorded as Tobin or Tobin.
These record keepers back in the day
Right.
fucking suck.
Well,
What did she say? It was either Thompson, Tobin, or Tubin.
So Harry Thompson, Tobin.
Harry
he,
TTT.
He was a driver for a bakery.
We call him Harry Triple T.
Right. So he delivered fucking the bread to the country folk.
Right.
The couple had 2 daughters.
Okay.
Gertrude and Lily. Or they called her Leah.
Very Gertrude, very 1900s name.
Right. 1912. They took in a boarder named Rocco Perry,
Oh, okay.
who rented a room in their home. So some dude just showed up and he was like, I need a place to stay. Like, we do got a room. I can do work. All right. So they got this guy named Rocco Perry. Rocco. Hey, Rocco. I can see that. You think he's Italian or European at least?
He's an immigrant. It's a good chance he's from Europe.
Hey, he was an immigrant from Calabria, Italy.
Yeah.
Oh.
Calabria.
Right. Starkman and Perry had a romance shortly
Of course.
after.
Saw that one coming, huh?
Wait, where was fucking Harry? Harry didn't cut the job, man. See, Harry, you fucked up, bud. Thompson, you had 3 last names. Nobody knew who you were.
I know.
So you were a man.
Like,
you were a man with no fucking identity.
He's like, Bessie, why are you doing this to us, baby? She's like, I don't even know my last name, Harry.
Because I don't even know my last name. She's like, Harry, my mama would be so ashamed. It started out, hey, ma'am, where are you from? And then it turned into, oh, no, what have I done?
Because I don't even know my last name.
But this guy, he gets it. It's Rocco.
Right. Oh, his last name's Perry.
Right. He knows exactly who he is. He's an immigrant from fucking Italy.
I'm an immigrant from Calabria.
And she's like, I'm leaving you. I'm leaving you, Harry. He's like, what? She's like, I'm taking the children, too.
No. She didn't say that at all.
Oh, yeah. She's like, I'm leaving you, Harry, and you can keep your fucking kids and your Jewish faith because I'm out. Because this guy's a Catholic and he's seeking more sense than you are.
Right. I was like, she's like, Harry, I had a steak the other day for the first time ever.
Fuck you. Bacon's great.
Jews eat steak, right?
I don't know if they eat bacon or anything. I think Jewish don't.
It's not Muslims.
I think Jewish
It's got to be kosher. They can eat whatever they want as long as it's kosher.
No, because you can't have hoofs that eat cut at the same time. So you can't eat fucking.
I think you can have a steak if you're Jewish.
You can't eat a horse. You can't eat
I
rabbit.
don't think anybody's fretting over that.
A rabbit? Right.
Yeah.
No, who cares?
Or a horse.
Right, I'm not eating a horse. Dogs,
But either way.
dogs care in the United States. What? What are they going to put in my dog food? What's going to be my kibbles?
I know. What are those plants called? Not processing plants, but yeah, they're like highly secretive, dude. You're not even like allowed to fucking bring cameras and shit in there because like the shit they. Oh, there was one. I was reading a report.
Oh, the plants?
Yeah, the fucking, what are they called? Where they just take like the animal carcasses and pretty much grind everything that's left over from places up, and they put it in dog food and whatever the fuck else.
Right.
But they do fucking like, they'll throw live animals in, just like injured animals or something.
Right.
That they're getting shiploads of fucking all just
fresh meat.
defective animals or the carcasses of animals that have been already butchered and stuff.
Right.
But yeah, but this one dude went undercover in there, and it was like in the pits where they grind up all the fucking the remains. There's like
bones and all.
No, but there's bones and all. But there's tons in the pit. There was like a ton of fucking like rat nests, like big ass rats. He was saying, and fucking down there, he said it was the nastiest thing. But you're feeding this shit to your animal. That's fucking gross, dude.
Dogs can easily handle anything you give them. Dogs eat their own fucking puke. Dogs eat their own shit. A dog's stomach can handle anything you give them. Trust me, that's perfectly.
Yeah, that's
good for
still
them.
gross.
It's not for the dog.
That is gross.
Well, it's not harming the dog any.
You don't know.
We do know.
You don't know.
Obviously,
how many
every dog in the world has been eating dog food for fucking hundreds of years.
What's the statistics of all these dogs that maybe got sick prematurely and died because something got sick? Maybe it's something to do with their food.
Statistic. So you're talking.
I'm saying, what is the statistic? Do I have
who knows?
Is there any study? Is there a study?
When's the last time you heard of a dog dying because they ate food?
But you don't know what they could have got
Besides
sick from.
Chocolate or something.
You don't know what they could have got sick from. Is
and
my
most
point.
times they get it. It's either chocolate.
You don't know what they got sick from.
Well, because most human beings, they take their dog to a vet and they do an autopsy and be like, oh, this is what he died of.
People don't get dog autopsies.
All right. How do you think they know?
Especially-
How do you think they know? How do you think they know that
Especially
chocolate's bad
these
for
types,
dogs?
These types of places are feeding their dogs like the fucking dollar store brand shit, which
Right.
is those people ain't got money to pay for a fucking vet to get an autopsy.
That's
number one.
different. I'm talking about dollar store brand. I'm talking
But
about
I'm saying,
regular
is
dog
there a
food.
study that shows the growth and the health of dogs on like the high top tier fucking
I'm sure there is.
fucking shit compared to the nasty shit that they're putting all these type of animal parts in?
I'm
Is there
sure
studies
there- I'm
that
sure there
that
is.
say that the ones that do the all natural food or whatever have a better health record or live longer or
You know there
anything?
is. You know there is.
Well, we would have to look it up, wouldn't we?
I bet you would. Well, the common law couple initially moved to St. Catharines, Ontario, where Perry had a job to
How the
project.
fuck did we get on that anyways?
Right.
Oh, Jews, can they eat steak? See?
So what happened? What happened? Go recap the last paragraph.
She left her husband for Rocco Perry.
Rocco.
She left her husband, children, and the Jewish faith for
Right,
him.
everything. This guy showed up on doorstep one day and freed her.
But yeah, guys, that just shows you how quickly we can stray into
Right.
different fucking conversations that quick.
Well, anyway, the common law couple initially moved to St. Catharines, Ontario, where Rocco had a job on a project to expand the Welland
Oh,
Canal.
look at Rocco getting a legit job though.
Well, Welland Canal, they need anybody they can get.
That's so. Now you're gonna knock a guy for getting
It was
legit work?
Yeah, but it was a fucking.
Look at you.
He was getting paid pennies to do the hard work. It wasn't legit.
Nothing's ever good enough for you, is it?
It wasn't legit.
Nothing's ever good
The
enough.
only thing
for
legit about it was he was going to work every day and working his ass off. Yeah, but he was getting paid pennies. 1916, they were living in Hamilton. That's in, I still believe in
you.
Ontario,
It's in
right?
British Columbia or something.
Is
like
it?
that.
Rocco worked briefly as a traveling salesman for
Okay.
the Superior Macaroni Company.
Oh damn!
He was like, I'm telling you
he's
what,
like,
folks,
I got elbow
this
straight.
macaroni is superior.
I got elbow straight.
Ragatouille. Is it macaroni? No, macaroni.
Yeah,
is on-
macaroni
right.
is just a macaroni noodle, man.
Right.
I got.
Ragatouille.
He's like,
The
I got.
pasta.
He's like, I got elbow
I
straight.
bet they stole pot.
I
they
just
stole
got elbow
pasta.
and straight, but
Right.
you get the point.
It's got elbow and straight. No, I bet they had pasta.
I
Why
mean,
wouldn't
I'm
you?
sure they would, right?
Right,
Branch
and you're
out.
stupid not
something.
to. You're
Yeah,
stupid not
right,
to.
Right.
The couple went. All right, they're like, I don't like macaroni.
Is
noodles.
macaroni even Italian?
You got some linguine? And they're like, oh, damn right, we got some linguine.
Is macaroni even Italian? Like the noodles?
The macaroni.
I don't think you've heard of Italian macaroni.
Macaroni. Yeah, can they have
Macaroni is usually served as a side dish in like
Macaroni.
barbecue and stuff.
No, macaroni. You can have
Macaroni and cheese, yes.
no.
I don't think
macaroni
you
and cheese.
go to
even
any
that.
Italian restaurant, you're not getting a macaroni and cheese.
No, you get a macaroni. It's like a side dish.
You get a
It's like
macaroni.
salad.
you get a macaroni, just a large,
No.
a macro, large. You get a macaroni.
No.
It's like a large knee of a bowl or something.
No, it's just a bowl with like noodles and some kind of a Italian sauce with tomatoes and
Well, now we have to settle this
tomatoes
dispute.
and celery and shit like that. It'd be like a pasta salad, but with the macaroni.
It's a macaroni.
What's a macaroni? Italian macaroni dish. That's right, Italian macaroni dish.
Macaroni and cheese is almost unknown in Italy, and it would
Right.
be almost
Yeah, I didn't
impossible
say
to
that.
have at a restaurant.
Yeah, macaroni
I told
and
you. That's
cheese.
what obviously that's what I'm referring to. I'm not talking about. I guess we were referring to the noodle.
Yeah, macaroni. I'm not talking about macaroni and cheese.
Yeah,
Obviously, that's
macaroni and cheese ain't no damn fucking Italian dish,
hell
bro.
fucking no. No, they'll slap you in your face.
That's what I'm saying.
If you make
You
a,
know, why do you think I said you only see it at fucking?
if your stepmother told you to make some macaroni and you bring in some fucking crap, I got the blues. You're gonna eat some macaroni and cheese. She'd be like, "What the fuck is this?" And she'd be like, "Damn, this is good, Caparon." Wait. She even changed from Italian to Mexican.
In Italian, macaroni refers to
Macaroni.
elongated pasta, not necessarily in a tubular form, though.
Right.
Outside Rome and in different languages, borrowed words. Macaroni comes from the Italian word macaroni,
pasta.
macarone.
It's a pasta.
Many variants seem to differ from the other. That's pasta.
Macaroni. See, it's macaroni.
However, the product as well as the name derived from the ancient Greek makaria. So the Greeks invented macaroni.
I don't know.
Oh, it just says it right there.
Right.
So the Greeks are responsible for macaroni.
I bet they were. Like a Greek dish.
But it is used in Italy a lot.
Oh, of
Obviously,
course
it's
it
a
is.
fucking pasta. They're gonna
Right.
the Italian. It doesn't
Look at
matter.
That looks good as fuck, doesn't it not?
It's just herbs and ground pepper.
And some butter.
So,
And it's fucking great.
but it's literally macaroni and cheese with pepper.
No cheese at all.
No, it's homemade macaroni and cheese with dried herb and pepper. Do you read?
Oh, there's cheese on it? I didn't read it. I just looked at the picture.
So yeah, Greeks invented it. Italians took the noodle and did whatever the fuck. They probably put pasta sauce and all that type of shit in it. But
they made it a macaron.
But the white people came in and was like,
Right.
let's add some cheese to this shit. That's all we need.
Well, anyway.
And they're like, perfecto.
Right. Well, anyway, we're talking about it's 1916.
Yep.
They're living in Hamilton. Rocco.
What disrespect we're showing to the women in Prohibition right now. We can't even stay on track with fucking stories.
Well, Rocco, and we're not even talking about her. We're talking about Rocco.
We're talking about macaroni, though.
We're talking about Rocco.
Because he worked at the macaroni company.
Right. We're at Superior Macaroni.
Right.
Well, the couple went on to open a small grocery store in a Jewish-Italian immigrant neighborhood.
Even though she denounced her Jewishism.
Right. Yeah, but she's Italian, though. So, and you know Italian.
She's not Italian.
You know, yeah.
She came from Poland.
Yeah, but she's with the Italian.
That's true.
So you know the Italian's relationship with the Jews.
Maybe she is a Jewish Pole, so
Yeah,
she's still Jewish.
she knows them both.
She's still Jewish. She
Right.
just doesn't practice.
Right. And she's in an area where she knows she's accepted in
She's
both.
like, hey.
Right.
Well, Bessie first became known to the police when she was charged with keeping a disorderly house.
Damn, this house is dirty.
You need
Bitch.
to clean up after your motherfucking kids.
Right.
Well, she was accused of running a brothel. Oh. That's why. there could have been underwear on the floor. We don't
A
know.
brothel is a place where prostitution takes place.
Yes, it is.
That's what it says.
Her defense was that she didn't know what her female boarder was doing, but she was convicted anyhow.
Oh, she had a female boarder there. Yeah, I mean, she had to know.
Of course she did.
1916.
Maybe she didn't know.
Right, yeah. How big's the house?
Well, big enough to have a boarder.
Right. If she can have a room like in the back where I never see this person.
It's true.
Right. And she got to be quiet.
Right.
I don't know.
Right.
1916, the Ontario Temperance Act came into effect.
Oh, what does that mean, Temperance Act? We know what that means.
This act made possession of liquor and beer outside the home illegal and led to the closure of bars and liquor stores.
Look at Canada, 2 years ahead of America in doing that.
But they're smart. They left it inside the home.
Well, you could still... It wasn't illegal to consume alcohol in Prohibition.
All right.
In America. You couldn't buy it or
true.
sell it.
That's true. Starkman and Rocco.
Oh, but it made possession of liquor and beer. You could still possess alcohol in America.
Right. You can still possess it. You
couldn't sell it or buy it.
Right.
You could still have it on your person.
Right. No, not up to a certain amount.
Right. I'm sure if they had a bottle of alcohol, you're not getting fucking charged for it. But here in Canada, if you even have a sip of alcohol,
if you get pulled over and you got 15 boxes.
Well, obviously marked XXX on the fucking bottle.
Right.
Right. But Canada was one step further. Like, you ain't gonna fucking have any alcohol outside your home.
No alcohol outside the home.
Okay.
Which actually helped them too, because now nobody can say, "Well, you're doing it." Well, I'm doing it in my fucking yard, buddy. Right? Even though there's a bottle in my fucking drawer in the shop.
Does outside the home include the yard? I would assume you can still be in your own yard.
Right. I mean, that's your land, bud. Home is your land.
Right.
Don't mean necessarily a house.
Right. So I could stand on my front lawn.
Right. It's your home.
And drink a beer.
Right. It's your home. It's not your. Yeah. Right. Right. Anyway, that led to bars and liquor stores to be like, well, I guess we're done. Unless we sell this fucking saltwater taffy and Coca-Cola.
Pickled eggs.
Pickled eggs and crawdads that we can get every once in a while. We'll be all right, honey. All right. Well, Starkman and Rocco saw that they could make much more money from bootlegging. Mm-hmm. They're like, you know what? These people are going to be watching anybody selling for shit, but we can do this shit behind the scene. And this little grocery store that we're trying to run, well, guess what? Ain't cutting it.
Right.
We got to do this. And she was smart enough to be like, you know what, Rocco? I believe yo.
I believe yo, Rocco.
Rocco became known as the king of the bootleggers.
Uh-oh. King? Another king?
The king of the bootleggers in Ontario.
We're gonna have to do a tournament of the king of whatever during Prohibition.
The king of bootleggers.
Who's the best king of Prohibition?
Well, so far we're talking about this bitch Starkman, but Rocco seems to start.
Right,
the show.
Rocco seems to be the one, huh?
We should have been doing.
I know, fucking
Perry.
men always take it over.
Look at it. The next sentence.
Well,
begin with. She didn't even fucking. Oh, there it is.
There we go. He ignored the rule. Rocco ignored the rule that barred women from the mob, and Starkman became the driving force behind the operation. There we go, Bessie. Right. Well, she came.
Well, they the first Bonnie and Clyde.
They could have been. Well, I don't think they're out murdering people.
Well, same thing, though.
Well, slowly murdering people with their alcohol.
Wait, but same thing, though.
Yeah.
These guys.
Well, she became known by many as Canada's first prominent female organized crime boss.
Hey.
Starkman negotiated and placed orders with liquor and beer suppliers, laundered money, looked after the payroll, and made deals with other gangs as well.
She was the boss.
She was the boss.
Rocco was the muscle.
Well,
Rocco was the muscle.
Guess what the gang was called, though?
What was it called?
The Perry Gang.
Obviously.
And they operated in Kitchener,
Yeah.
Toronto, Windsor,
Okay.
Hamilton, and Niagara.
Damn.
And I just want to let you guys
That's the
know.
Midwest right there. That's Detroit.
I just want to let you guys know that all 5 of those locations are extremely close to Detroit.
Right.
Especially Windsor,
Cleveland.
since it's right across the
So
river.
think of that. Cleveland, Buffalo, Detroit.
Well, Detroit. We
right,
all know
all
Detroit
of
was a main hub. Oh, look at it. It also ran bootleg liquor to the United States, primarily to Chicago, Detroit, and New York State.
Obviously,
which
New York
Niagara's
State,
right by New
Buffalo.
York.
That's where they get New York
Right.
State. They
Niagara, New York.
They're like, hey, man,
Windsor, Detroit.
we're not
Kitchener,
gonna,
Detroit.
We're not going to drive all the way to the city of New York, but we will drive in the state of New York, and we'll drop it off in Buffalo for you motherfuckers.
Right.
Chicago.
By 1920, the couple had moved into a large home at 166 Bay Street in South Bay Street.
South
Street
Hamilton?
South in Hamilton.
What? 2023 South Hamilton? What?
They had a lavish lifestyle that included everything from diamonds to expensive cars.
Hey.
Things went well for Starkman and Perry until March 1927 when they appeared before the Federal Royal Commission on Customs and Excise, which investigated liquor smuggling.
Obviously.
She denied any connections to bootlegging, though, obviously. Right. Nevertheless, she and Perry were charged with perjury.
Oh, they lied.
So they lying motherfucker.
But they couldn't charge them.
They couldn't charge them with the bootlegging. So what was their perjury for?
What were they lying from?
So if they charge them with perjury, but they couldn't
lied.
charge them with bootlegging, how does that make sense?
Right.
We know you're lying about bootlegging, even though we can't prove you're bootlegging, but you're lying about it. But we can't prove you're bootlegging, so how would we prove you're lying?
Yeah, we're gonna something they lied about something else. It was something stupid, probably. I bet it was something fucking dumb.
While the charges against Bessie were dropped,
Right,
Rocco pleaded guilty and was sentenced to. He was like, "Babe, I'll fucking take the fall for it.
6 months.
You got a business to run."
It's 6 months.
Yeah, he was sentenced to 6 months in a reformatory, not even a prison.
Right. The end of Prohibition in Ontario, 1927, forced Rocco's mob to look for a new source of income.
Rocco's mob in Ontario. Rocco's mob in Ontario.
Rocco was like, "Listen, baby, I know you're having fun, but I mean, it's just legal now."
Right. It's not like we can.
What are we gonna do?
Nobody gives a fuck no more.
She's like, "What we can do? We go into the illegal drug business."
Canada started 2 years earlier in Prohibition and ended 6 years before America.
Because they knew.
Wow.
They knew.
That's something I've never
Right.
looked at the history of Prohibition in Canada.
Right.
Wow. So they were significantly less time than America.
Well, since
4 years less.
Since their income was shut off instantly there.
Finito.
They moved on to obviously the next thing that's illegal, the drugs.
Hey, Prohibition's the gateway.
Right.
The gateway crime.
Drug. Yeah, gateway crime. June 1929, the Royal Canadian Mounted Police held Starkman during a drug raid at a house in Toronto, but they released her due to lack of evidence.
Bessie is just one lucky gal, huh?
Right.
Well, shortly before midnight on the 13th of August, 1930, the couple returned home from an event.
Okay.
Oh, when Bessie Starkman stepped from her car in the garage, she was greeted with a gunfire from 2 men with shotguns.
Whoa.
A neighbor walking his dog heard Perry yelling that Bessie had been shot.
Holy shit.
Reports suggested that 2 men shot Starkman and another drove the getaway car. She died instantly.
They shot her instead of him.
Shot her instead of... She was the main bitch.
Yeah, but it was Rocco's gang.
She was the main bitch.
Right, but she's the main bitch. You ain't kidding.
Picture of the garage right by her front door. She was gunned down like right on the
why
wall.
Why won't they
dude.
kill Rocco too, though? That makes me wonder.
Because she's the...
It don't matter. Rocco's the boss.
Oh, well, we're about to see the motivation here. But we're looking at the murder scene in her garage. She's just about to walk in her house before they got her right by the wall, dude.
Right. And for being some big boss, man,
the house don't look too...
her garage and her doorway to get in her house don't look pretty good. Right? Maybe that's all she was. She's like, I don't need all that fancy shit.
Right. Her car looks even
car's
kind
dirty
of
and shit.
right?
That should be brand new, shiny.
Right. What the hell are they doing? I thought they lived lavishly. Isn't that what they just said?
Mm-hmm.
Huh.
They don't look lavishly to me.
They sure don't. Fuck, they got chains and shit hanging on the walls.
Right. And a fucking broke down like wood stove right there or something.
Some type of burning stove.
And a pallet. Why is there a wood pallet?
I think that's a grate.
Looks like a wood pallet.
Looks like a grate.
In Ontario province.
I don't think they made wood pallets back in the day, did they?
Maybe.
We're going to have to look up the history of wood pallets now?
I think wood pallets has been around forever.
Obviously.
An Ontario provincial police investigation could not find a clear motive for her murder. Okay. Obviously there were, but what are they going to do? Her killers were never found, but they knew who they were. However, several theories emerged.
Okay.
Either she had been shot by an angry member of the Perry gang.
Oh.
Either her husband was involved, or she had refused to pay gangsters from Rochester for a drug deal. So either hubby did it, or I didn't pay these gangsters from New York, who were actually the real mob, and they would have came and fucking murdered her. Or it was part of the gang member herself. The only thing I can think of it's her husband, because he didn't die. He should have been murdered too.
I don't know.
Yeah.
She was the negotiator for drug deals, though.
Doesn't matter.
So if she refused,
doesn't matter. Everybody know he was the boss.
She's the one doing the fucking. Did you not even hear her story at all?
Right, but everybody knows.
Stupidest thing ever.
But everybody knows.
They're trying to kill and get out. Why would they kill him?
What I'm saying, everybody knows that they kill her. He's the boss.
Clearly, that would send a message to him.
Not send a message to nothing. He's going to be pissed and come at you and fucking kill more. It's going to be a war.
Oh.
It's going to be a war.
This dude's not a fucking main mobster guy. He had a small gang.
Big enough to fucking do what he needed to do.
No.
Especially since she was dead. You know how many other people would have came in? He would have had an army.
No, she clearly fucking, clearly refused to pay the gangsters, and they fucking,
in New York.
Came and fucking,
in New York.
outed her ass.
Right. They probably told him to when they murdered her. It was like, you just don't fucking do nothing. You'll stay alive, motherfucker. And listen here. You work for us now.
I can't believe that he would do it. No. Sorry. Not going to believe it. Well, her funeral on the 17th of August, 1930 was one of the biggest in Hamilton's history. A report. See, that's how big this woman is. So it's perfectly plausible that an outside gang could have killed her. They know she's the woman. Rocco wasn't shit.
Nah, if it was an outside gang, they would kill the husband too. There's no fucking reason why they wouldn't.
No, how many times you've seen
never.
How many times you've seen a mob hit and they only kill the guy that's fucking their intended? They never kill the family and they never fucking kill anybody else besides
the wife
people
really
intended.
don't know that's going on. But in this case, the fucking husband is actually just as involved as she is.
Come on, don't be dumb.
Come on, they're both basically acting bosses.
Clearly, we know who ran shit.
Right, but
it ain't him.
But they're both acting.
Clearly,
bosses.
We know who ran shit.
But he ran shit down the streets. Yeah, she ran shit. Back to final say.
Well, it was one of the biggest in Hamilton history. Her funeral was a report.
Can't tell me you're not going to tell me that they ain't going to kill both of them. That's stupidity to say no.
Clearly, they didn't. Then
that's what I'm saying. That's why he's involved.
Maybe he was on the other side of the car. They had to kill her. Fucking their target was. They probably might have been like, "Hey, take him out if you can," but he's on the other side of the car. You shot him, shot her. Fucking run away.
Right,
get in your getaway car.
In and out. Right.
Why would you waste time trying to gun him down when he's clearly on the other side of the car?
Well, why not? When now it's 2 against 1, you can fucking take him out.
Killers were never caught. Which could lead to the theory that he was involved and said, I didn't see nobody.
Exactly.
Yeah, we'll never know. A report in the Toronto Star estimated that more than 20,000 people lined the streets and crowded the Ohev Zedek Cemetery.
This bitch was popular.
Where she was buried. She was more than popular, yeah. It was said there were so many cars in the funeral procession that when the first car reached the cemetery, the last car hadn't left Starkman's Bay Street house about 6 kilometers away, which is like 10 or 12 miles.
Right.
Yeah, that's fucking crazy.
Because of her controversial life and common law relationship with the
non-Jew,
right? With the non-Jew, a local rabbi refused to bury her.
Oh.
Well, instead, a visiting rabbi who had once lived in the city was brought in to conduct the funeral service. So that's fine, whatever. There was no cantor, and the rabbi
is, Jewish music.
Right.
So apparently,
if you know what a Jewish funeral is, yeah.
So apparently, wait.
The family wanted a Jewish funeral, but nobody.
The rabbi in Canada refused to bury her, but another rabbi was like, fuck it, I'll do it.
Right.
Mazel tov.
Well, he's probably seen some shit. That's what it's at.
Right.
Seen some shit. I seen some shit. I get her.
But yeah, there was no music
like,
celebrating her.
I'll do it, but it won't be. I'm not gracing you with the music and musicians. Nope. And you would not get a eulogy.
You would not get a eulogy. I will say no words about you. I will not say anything.
I'll read a scripture from the Bible.
Right.
And that's it.
And look over the
basically like an American funeral, really.
Well,
yeah.
pastors usually
they ask for like, give me a paragraph about her.
No, pastors they always do some sort of scripture about death or fucking
right. And if the family
like
gives them a paragraph to say about her, but I don't want some guy saying stuff.
Well, no. That's why you go up and do it yourself.
Right. I didn't. That's what they usually say. Well, even though I never really met her, but blah, blah, blah. No, fuck you.
Well, some do. Some know him from going to church for 30 years there.
That's different.
Well, anyways, my point was that one rabbi didn't want to do it and the other one did it. So.
Yeah, that's what happened, right? Starkman was assigned a cemetery plot by fence as far away as possible from
Damn,
other
so
burials.
Wow.
I mean, they allowed it. They put her on the property. That's.
I guess, right?
They did what they needed to do, right? God didn't say you had to bury them next to people.
Right. As long as God didn't say you had to be buried in front of or inside your own religion's cemetery either. So.
Right. So, fuck this whole fucking thing. The name Bessie Starkman Perry was originally on Starkman's monument. However, the Perry name no longer appears. I wonder why that was. I told you why. You know why? Because they found out the fucking truth.
Yeah.
I guarantee it. Guarantee he was in on that
Maybe
shit.
he went afterwards and
he would have fucking
that out.
No, this dude would have been murdered too. Fuck off. I don't give a fuck.
Well, either way, many years after her moida, Bessie remains a source of fascination.
Bessie?
Her life was recounted in the play Bootlegger's Wife, staged several times during Hamilton's Fringe Festival in 2014.
And see, the play is called Bootlegger's Wife, like saying she was just the wife when she's actually the fucking.
Well, I mean, that's just.
Bootlegger's husband and shit.
That's just sexism. She had been featured in walking tours on Hamilton's Dark History. In 2019, a character called Bessie Starkman, based on the real person, appeared in a few episodes of the CBC TV series Frankie Drake Mysteries.
I'm going to watch that.
The show, set in the 1920s, follows Toronto's only female private detective who takes on cases the police will not.
Nice.
Well, the Starkman character appears as a mob boss running an illegal casino in Toronto.
I believe it.
In one episode, she agrees to work with Frankie Drake on a case.
Oh, shit.
Dude.
So they're treating her in a good light in Canada.
I would say
she's going to agree to work with this. You know?
Obviously,
she's still obviously well loved in Canada today.
Obviously, we don't know much about Canadian.
I bet there's a bigger story there.
Canadian criminals and stuff like that.
There's got to be a bigger story there.
So she's pretty much got.
I'm intrigued.
She's pretty much got the following of any one of the popular American.
I'm intrigued.
Gangsters.
Is there a way that we can go on Canadian websites? Moving on. Well, that was quite an interesting little story there. We need to dig into that old Canadian right there.
Canadian crime and Prohibition era and all that stuff. I'm sure there's
fantastic.
I'm sure there's lots of.
That should be a show.
I'm sure there's lots of Wild West stories in Canada. I mean, like Wild West type. There's
obviously
a bunch of outlaw towns and shit in Canada. I'm sure during that era as well.
Right.
Canadian crime. I've never considered it.
Let's check that out. Moving on to
I'm sure you can find the same thing. I mean, obviously, any country.
Well, we'll
any country, you're gonna find the same thing. Mexico, you're gonna have fucking your biggest criminals well known in Mexico. Obviously,
right. Maybe we need to expand out our fucking.
No, we're Americans. We do American ones. except for Bessie Starkman.
Right. Gertrude Lythgoe.
Lythgoe, probably the most famous woman of Prohibition in America.
Yeah, and she had a little rhyme with her. She said, "I'm Gertrude Lythgoe. I'm the queen of the rum row."
Rum row Lythgoe coming in the bippo.
That's rum row Lythgoe.
Rum row Lythgoe. You
Queen
know I got
Lythgoe.
Rum row Lythgoe. You know I got the shit though. I sell it to you for disco.
Yeah.
Discount.
Right. Well, anyway, her name is.
I sell it to you on the low.
Right. Gertrude Lythgoe.
Hey, that's a good one.
Right. No.
Rum row Lythgoe. You know I got that shit though. I sell it to you down low. I sell it to you on the low. Cops can't catch me.
No, stop.
I'm no Bessie.
Stop.
But
well, she might be. Bessie?
Gertrude.
Gertie? Her name is Gertie. That's probably or Rudy.
Gertie.
Or Rudy.
Trudy.
Right, Trudy. Right, Trudy. Anyway, Gertrude Lythgoe, the queen of rum row.
Ooh, that rhymes.
The biggest market for illicit hooch was in New York City.
I beg to differ. That probably was.
Where a young woman named Gertrude Lythgoe worked.
Okay.
Her employer?
Uh-oh.
British Scotch whiskey wholesaler, Haig and McTavish.
Well, her superiors recognized that Miss Lythgoe, she got more talents than just tending to the steno pool.
What the fuck is a steno pool?
She was given the job of setting up a trade. Why do you always do that?
Never seen one in my life. Swimming in a steno pool.
A steno pool is a group of employees in a large company. Well, her superiors recognized that Miss Lythgoe had talents that went far beyond messing around with all the other employees that are low-level fucking nobodies.
Right.
She was given the job of setting up a trading post in the Bahamas, which at the time was a British colony.
Of course it was. Now they split in half, isn't it?
No, that's fuck. We just did this with the
the
Bill McCoy
That's
episode.
the Virgin Islands. Yes. Well, she lived in the Lucerne Hotel in Nassau. Is that how you say it? Nassau. A place that was known as the bootleggers' headquarters. People described as colorful characters. There's some colorful characters there.
Isn't that crazy? Nassau was probably the most famous stop for pirates and like safe haven for pirates.
Why wouldn't it be?
And now the same thing. Liquor pirates, I guess you could say, are fucking down there doing the same thing.
It's an island off the fucking mainland.
But back in the 1700s and shit.
How far is international waters from there? Not that far.
I don't know, but the island's owned by the British, so it's still under some sort of.
They're in international water then, or they're in British water.
That's what I'm saying. They're in British territory.
Right.
So I'm sure there was some sort of British fort there or something that.
Yeah, but I bet the British had no land or no ocean, fucking just enough for them to go around the island and go home. That's about it. But nothing towards the United States. I bet they didn't own any of that. You know what I mean?
Do you realize this is the British we're talking about? Probably the second biggest navy at this time.
Right. But they weren't letting them go past that. You can have the British Islands, but no more past.
Dude, the Bahamas are pretty far off from the United States. So
it's pretty far off.
So, of course, they would have all the surrounding island fucking probably patrolled, I would assume.
Their island, yes.
Which is the Bahamas.
That's fine. But then it would...
wondering, how is this a safe haven for all these
the Bahamas?
bootleggers?
We're not in the Bahamas.
Oh, my gosh.
Are we in the Bahamas right now? Or is it the Virgin Islands?
No.
Oh, no.
Nassau is in the Bahamas where fucking Gertrude is setting up shop now.
And the Bahamas is what right now?
The Bahamas is controlled by Britain.
Right now.
Right now. At this time, yes.
At this time in the world.
At this time in the world.
Well.
Yeah, they're in the British colony known as Bahamas right now. Nassau is where she is. But the point still stands. There's got to be some type of British authority there. How are all these bootleggers operating? But I don't think there was a prohibition in British.
She lived in the Lucerne Hotel in Nassau.
It's in the Bahamas, by the way.
In the Bahamas.
Yeah.
A place that was known as the bootleggers.
At this time.
We already did this one.
No!
I already did this fucking
No!
Oh, I did half of it.
All right.
I got started over. So, yeah, we're going to go back to the beginning anyway. So, all that what we said is obsolete.
Hold on, I'm leaving in my.
I already started this.
I'm leaving in my point about it being bootleggers' headquarters, even though it's patrolled by the British colony. There's got to be some way these people. Why is the British allowing bootleggers and shit here? Unless is prohibition not a thing in Britain at this time?
It was.
I don't think so.
In Britain? Oh, probably not.
Because remember the one island that Bill McCoy went to was a French-controlled island, and
Yeah,
they didn't have liquor laws.
They ain't fucking.
Right. So I mean, it makes sense, right? So I just answered my own question.
Right. I already said she lived in the Lucerne Hotel.
Yes, she did.
Blah, blah, blah,
the
blah.
bootleggers' headquarters in Nassau.
And I said colorful characters.
No.
Yeah, they did.
No, you didn't.
People described as colorful characters.
Colorful.
That was their saying. Well, there's some colorful characters over there.
Quote unquote.
Which, in another way of saying, them motherfuckers are some crooks. There's some racketeers. There's some villains up in that bitch. And they gather there and they make deals. There's some devilish deals. There's some bad mofos. The place was awash with cash. With Jim Leggett from Whiskey Magazine. He writes, bar tabs were paid in $1,000 bills. Every barman could give change.
Oh, good for them.
Damn.
Them thriving over there, huh?
Think of that. Back in the day, 1920s. Bar tabs were paid in $1,000 bills, and every barman could get change.
Yeah.
So that means
they're making a lot of money.
That means like right now when you go to Walmart, or anywhere, they're going to give you change for no matter what you give them, right?
Well, the highest thing you can give them is 100. I'm assuming that Walmart has to change for 100.
Well, you know what I mean.
I mean, I could go to the local liquor store and probably get change for 100. So
right.
But $1,000 bill? No.
$1,000 bill?
I'm buying this 25-cent pack of gum with this $1,000 bill. You give me $999.75, motherfucker.
That ain't fucking happening.
And in this fucking bar world, it would.
Probably. Mm-hmm. It probably fucking definitely would. Well, that pack of gum probably only costs $0.01.
Well, you figure how much for drinks.
fucking.
Somebody bought a drink for 50 cents.
Not even 50
probably,
cents.
right?
50
and then
cents.
fucking paid with
like,
$1,000 bill. Sorry,
right.
That's all I got, brother.
I want one shot of whiskey.
Right.
That's $1.
Probably, maybe, yeah.
Right. Well, I got to $1,000 bill. Well, don't worry about that.
I got you covered.
I got you all day.
I don't think they spoke like that in the Bahamas.
You plan on getting 1,000 more shots?
Go to the Bahamas. Right.
I got you
999
if you
more
plan
shots.
on getting 999 more shots, I got you covered.
Well, the Bahamians developed a massive thirst for Scotch whiskey.
Oh.
In 1919, Scottish distillers landed
Scottish whiskey? Have you ever had Scottish whiskey before? I've never had Scottish
Never
whiskey.
had Scottish whiskey.
I wonder how that tastes.
Probably pretty good. It's pretty popular.
Well, the only whiskey that's even popular is
That's whiskey bourbon, though, is
right whiskey bourbon.
Jack Daniels.
Right, Jack Daniels and Jim Beam are widely popular everywhere. What else is there's no other
In America, I'm willing to bet.
They're whiskey.
I'm willing to bet Jack Daniels and Jim Beam aren't very popular overseas. They probably got all their own fucking
I don't
loads
think
of
it's
shit.
whiskey though. It's gonna be fucking like some shit.
Vodka, obviously, is very popular in Europe.
Anything clear in Europe is fucking very popular.
Yeah. But the thing, that's the difference. We over
They
here,
don't like that dark.
we
liquor.
over here, we kind of drink like clear beer,
Right.
beer,
Light beer.
like light. Well,
A
even,
Budweiser.
even
A Budweiser.
If
a
you pour
Budweiser
a
to
Budweiser
them.
in a glass, you
Right.
can kind of see through.
But
it.
I'm saying a
But over
Budweiser.
there, over there, their beer is fucking black,
All you gotta do
pretty
is-
much.
Guinness is a light beer over there. It's a light beer, and it's what we drink over here, and then we think it's so fucking.
I
tough.
guarantee you, people in Ireland or wherever Guinness is from don't drink Guinness as their preferred stuff.
So I'm saying that's like a sample of what you're gonna.
They
get.
had to dumb it down for us
and
Americans.
most
dude.
country, the beer's warm.
That or it's dark as hell. It's a fucking
It's
thick,
warm.
malty type of stuff.
If you're at a bar,
But on the flip side of that, our liquor,
it's not a
the
chilled
liquor
keg.
that most Americans drink is dark liquor.
Right. Oh yeah.
But the liquor that Europeans and shit drink
It's
is light liquor. So it's kind of like reverse for beer and liquor over there and over here.
Which the light liquor is actually proven to be more healthier than the dark one because the dark liquor attacks your heart and fucking your liver and all that. I mean, they all attack your liver, but this one does the kidneys, your heart, and your fucking. But the light liquor is what abdominal and fucking liver, which is the rest. Stick to beer. Don't fucking drink liquor, guys.
Well, you can get light rum.
Stick to beer.
You can get white rum.
Beer is 99% water. 99% water. The other 1% is hops, barley, and fucking.
Well, it's just fermented.
Right. It's all it is soaking in water. The only thing beer's going to give you is from the carbon, which would be fat.
Big old beer belly.
Right. Beer belly gives you fat, which makes you lazy, and you could have, I guess, weight problems. And it could lead to heart
A
problems.
longevity of drinking 15 to 20 beers a day would definitely fuck with
yes.
your heart and liver and all that good
Right.
stuff.
Beer. Yeah.
Whether or not there's still alcohol in the beer, that's your liver has to strain out. So if you're drinking in excess to the point that your liver can't strain all that shit out, then obviously it's going to affect you.
You could drink 8 to 10 beers a night the rest of your life and be totally fine.
Don't try to justify yourself.
But I'm saying you can't. No, I don't.
Don't try to justify your habits to make yourself feel better.
I don't drink 8 to 10 beers a night, but I'm saying if I wanted to, I could. But still live still eat 3 meals a day, still do everything. But if you're drinking, it's the same thing as you're replacing beer with, and you're not gonna hurt your body none. Now, if you're drinking like 10 beers and fucking between the hours of 7 and
I don't know. I
2
always
in the
look at it
morning
as
every night and just partying.
I always look at it as what's better to drink: 6 beers a night or 6 beers a day throughout the whole day, whatever.
Right.
It just happens to be at night when obviously people are drinking beer. But 6 beers a day
compared to it becomes a day, right?
6 beers a day compared to 6 cans of Coca-Cola a day.
Oh, fuck.
Which one's less healthier?
I'd rather have
obviously any type of fucking soda is going to be way less healthier than a beer.
any type of soda.
Any type of
6
soda.
beers a day is for me.
Right. I'll take that all day, every day.
Against anything, no matter what liquid you're telling me.
Well,
Besides water.
ain't nothing healthier than tap water.
Besides water.
Right.
Well, besides tap water that's not in the city. That shit is fucking chemicalized.
Still,
like a motherfucker.
still healthier than anything else you're putting in your body, probably.
Right.
So, Either or, Bahamians develop a massive thirst for Scotch whiskey, as I was saying. In 1919, Scottish distillers landed just over 900 gallons of the good stuff
Ooh,
in
the
Nassau.
good stuff.
In 1920, the first year of Prohibition, the shipments added up to 386,000 gallons.
Shit,
Dude.
386.
How many do you think our buddy Bill McCoy was responsible for over there? Because Nassau was his
Right there.
his
his
stomping grounds.
I guarantee you, Gertrude and the real McCoy had a little thing going on.
Right.
Well, anyway, Gertrude met streamers arriving from Europe.
Not streamers.
Steamers.
Hey, what do you stream on? YouTube?
Yep. Well,
Check out my Twitch handle, Twitch TV, twitch.tv/rumrunner.
Right. Gertrude the Rum Runner.
Rumrunner 8187.
Right.
In another kind of cop.
Right. Anyway, Gertrude met steamers arriving from Europe to supervise the offloading.
Offloading. The offloading. That's a classy way of saying it. When you're a major bootlegger, you say offloading.
Hey,
Hello, what are you guys offloading today?
aren't you supposed to be supervising the offloading of the high quality booch?
Booch.
Booch. That's booch. We changed it to hooch because that sounded weird.
Somebody wrote an
It sounded
H.
weird. It was
Somebody
booch.
wrote an H when they were saying or writing
Booch.
down hooch, and then went too far with the other part of the H, so it looked like a B.
Right.
It's like,
Booch.
hey, what is this booch you guys speak of?
What is
What are you? Are you guys offloading the booch?
How are you gonna offload a booch? I'd like to know that, please.
And is it high quality?
And it's definitely high quality. Well, anyhow, they're offloading high quality hooch.
All right, she supervised it, right?
Well, then she met with rum runners to strike deals.
She's a deal maker too,
obviously she was running this shit, dude.
right?
She
Her
knew.
and Bessie were the deal makers. Of
She
this
knew.
operation.
Well, she knew they're gonna fuck this shit up. We gotta go and fucking let this explain to these guys exactly how it needs to go for the best interests of all of us.
Right.
Well, she said it. I got the best liquor, guys. Nobody else better liquor than me besides McCoy.
I was just gonna say, how is she gonna claim she has the best
Right.
liquor?
She knows damn well McCoy had it.
Is there anything called the real Lythgoe?
That's what she said. She goes, I got the best liquor, guys. I got the real McCoy. I got the
Is
real
there anything
McCoy
called
here.
the real Gertrude? No, that's not a fucking saying.
this
The
is the
saying
real-
is a real McCoy
This-
for a reason.
This is the real Lithgow right here.
And we got the real Gertrude
It's
here.
a Lithgow magic.
We got the real Gertie.
Fucking
Is that
hell.
Gertie or McCoy? Maybe.
Right.
Maybe, right? Is that Gertie or McCoy?
I bet.
Right.
Maybe. It could be.
Yeah,
No.
she settled for nothing but the highest price
That's
for
what
her
she said.
so-called.
She's like, I'm going to let you guys
best
know right
liquor.
now, from here on out, we sell for nothing. And I mean nothing. But the highest price that you can fucking think of.
All right. Well,
Don't bring me back anything lesser
All
priced. She did, too.
she got it. Bootlegging was a male-dominated occupation, and it had some very rough characters in that
Right.
occupation. But Lythgoe could handle them. She says one story tells of how she heard about a man bad-mouthing her.
She's like, what the motherfucker say?
Well, historian Sally Ling quotes Lythgoe as saying, "Well, I found him in a barbershop with his face lathered, and I just walked right into him, and I told him I wanted to talk to him. I fetched him along to my office, and there I just warned him. I told him I'd put a bullet through him as sure as he sat there. He went away mighty quick," she said. Look at her threatening motherfuckers. I will fucking kill you. You ever talk bad
Right.
about me or trying to undermine
Basically,
the
she
queen
said,
of rum running
basically
again.
said, I'm a woman. I could have easily walked up to you and slit your fucking throat.
Right.
Slit your throat right there.
Right.
And nobody would have done anything. I'm just to let you know.
So basically,
From here on out, motherfucker, don't do shit without let me know.
well, he was bad mouthing her.
Right.
She's like, "You keep my name out of your motherfucking mouth, or I will put a bullet in
Right.
between
From
your
now on,
eyes."
whenever you do anything, you need to run it past me, basically.
I don't think she said that. She said,
Well,
"Just
that's
don't
what-
talk shit about me."
She should have said.
She said, "Don't call me a cunt."
From now on,
anymore,
you're
okay?
my bitch. From now on, you're my bitch. You work for me, bitch.
I mean, right?
Right.
Could have happened.
Well, it was almost Christmas time. The year was 1923. Well, once the liquor was sold, it was loaded onto all manner of vessels that set sail for eastern seaboard. They're like, whatever's going
Of
east.
the United States.
I don't give a yeah.
Um,
Like whatever's
yeah,
going
she's
east.
like whatever's going up that fucking seaboard from
I want
Florida,
a package on each of those ships.
from Florida to Maine.
Right.
Whatever's going that way, I want fucking something loaded on one of these ships.
I don't give a fuck if it's going to
out there.
Africa. I don't give a fuck if anything.
Well, no, it's clearly eastern United States. Why would it be going to Africa?
I forgot she was in the Bahamas.
Obviously.
So the United States is west from her. All
Right.
The way. Yeah. Okay, I get it.
And they're going to the eastern
I get
seaboard
it.
of the United
you dumb
States.
cunt, because they're going to
What
transfer.
do you mean? I'm the
that.
dumb cunt that I
Jeez.
didn't confuse Africa.
Oh, I get it now, you dumb fucking bastard.
Man.
1923, just before Christmas. The
No.
Guardian, no, it's not 1923, just before Christmas. Once the liquor was sold, it was loaded onto all manner of vessels that set sail.
The eastern seaboard, yes.
The eastern seaboard
Right.
of the United States.
Right.
Standing for the eastern seaboard.
For the eastern seaboard, right.
Right.
Like I just said, from Florida to Maine.
Right. Florida to Maine, basically. She was like, I want some product on every one of those boats.
By the way, any of these going to Africa? No, ma'am.
No, you said
We're going to the
Eastern seaboard.
Eastern seaboard of the United States.
She was like, oh, I knew that. Just making sure.
Just making sure y'all were on your minding your P's and Q's.
All the ships were loaded with
What does that mean?
Right.
Minding your P's and Q's.
Your,
What does P's and Q's mean?
it was something in questions.
What exactly are your P's and Q's, and why do you have to mind them? Pints and quarts, in which case the phrase must originally refer to a landlord totting up a customer's tab. Oh, right. So if you're behind on your tab in a
mind your P's and Q's.
if you're behind on a tab in a bar or something,
Right.
hey, you gonna mind your P's and Q's?
Right.
Take care of your shit, pretty much.
Basically,
You know.
yeah. Mind
But
your-
then
mind your P's and Q's.
it's shifted into like Southern slang for manners, pretty
Right. Why
much.
don't you mind your P's and Q's?
Right. Why don't you mind your P's and
Why don't
Q's?
you take care of your
Take care of your shit, right?
Yeah, you dumb cocksucker.
Idiots.
Well, the ship's loaded with whiskey, rum, brandy, and anything else that might cause a buzz in American speakeasies, anchored outside the 3-mile Ontario limit.
Which we covered in the Bill McCoy episode, which was just beyond. It was Rum Row, yeah, right there.
There, they waited for small boats to come alongside, obviously,
Yeah, and
load up with cases to be run ashore.
Yes, they would. Well, just
So
before
they were doing nothing illegal because they're in all
international
waters,
baby.
the whole fucking
The
time.
whole time.
The whole fucking time.
Well, until they fucked Bill McCoy and extended the international water fucking rule on him.
Right. Well, that's McCoy's fault.
Well, it's not his fault.
Well, it's these guys' fault, probably.
Well, just before Christmas 1923, the Guardian, which is a ship that carried a report describing what had become. Wait, the Guardian is a paper. My bad.
Right.
Carried a report describing what had become known as Rum Row.
Right,
Yes,
so
the
they
bootleggers
brought it-
hired a
they brought
pilot.
it to- yeah.
The bootleggers hired a pilot called Monty to fly along Rum Road and chart the positions of the mothership so they could be found in the dark by people in small boats. Well, Monty's latest report showed that there were 22 ships anchored off the New Jersey shore carrying a vast supply intended to cheer New Yorkers at Christmas. However, little of this has been landed, and prices are soaring, he says.
Really?
So he's flying a plane. He's like, dude, we got all these planes ready to line up. We got all this alcohol ready for you guys to go to the eastern seaboard, not Africa, of the United States.
So they caught this guy, and that's what he said?
No.
Obviously.
It was a report from the paper.
Yeah, how they get these report from him? He flew over it, so obviously he's the only one that knows.
Apparently, the report got somebody in the know. You know, reporters are dirty. They're fucking dirty just themselves. Probably got,
Somebody knows Monty, parties with him. Right. Lythgoe joined the legendary...
Hey!
Yeah, yo.
We could talk about this fucking guy for...
Lythgoe, she told her gang, she was like, I'm about to meet with somebody, and after this, we're about to become the real McCoys.
Right.
They're like, what? She's like, you'll see. Well, she joined legendary Willie McCoy on one of his rum runs.
Okay.
5,000 cases for finest Scotch. They were taking
See,
to
he
New
only
York.
dealed in, like, whiskey and...
Right.
I think it was just pretty much whiskey. She was selling scotch,
Yeah,
though.
but she was like, I got this.
Yeah.
So they took 5,000 cases of her finest Scotch to New York with William McCoy. The sailor and the trader became close friends, with McCoy once describing Lythgoe as a tall, slender girl with black hair, a brain as steady as her own dark eyes, and a history that was nobody's business.
Oh, you don't want to hear about her history.
Total respect there.
They fucked.
Definitely.
100%.
Total respect there.
100%.
Oh, yeah. They
100%.
did that shit.
Well, by the mid-1920s, look at old Bill McCoy making an appearance in Gertie Lythgoe story.
And he was the real McCoy.
He was the real
Motherfucker
McCoy.
did
I
shit.
told you he had Bahamas by the stronghold.
Well, got Lythgoe, too.
By the mid-1920s, Gertrude Lythgoe had risen to high celebrity status in the United States.
Damn right.
In 1925, she developed a conviction that she was jinxed
Oh,
and was about to be murdered, so she decided to quit the bootlegging trade.
damn right.
Well, in June 1926, the Fairmount News in Indiana published a story describing her as involved in a trade that, quote-unquote, brought her Paris gowns and jewels as big as hen's eggs and the respect of the hardest boiled bootleggers on the Atlantic seaboard because she thinks her lucky star has set.
Oh, so they're fucking mocking this bitch. A jinx has tracked her down.
From the paper, by the way.
Right. A jinx has tracked her down from her whiskey throne in Nassau, through the most luxurious hotels of European capitals, through the glamorous newspaper publicity, through hectic romances, to the loneliness of a New York hotel suite, where she can hide from the world and recover her lost nerve and possibly her health.
You know what? Even though it's clearly a sensational story and this journalist doesn't know shit about her, look at the way they wrote.
Right.
You would never see that nowadays.
No.
It's just fucking stupid words. Most of the times you look up stories and they're not, shit's not even spelled right.
Right.
Like, at least reporters tried to write.
Well, and then plus
and
they did her good because she was a woman, and they were like, this is the bad bitch right here. They wrote her well. If it was just a fucking housewife or something, they'd be like, oh,
right.
It would have been 2 sentences.
Well, for Lythgoe, after that, she faded from the public sight and spent the rest of her life in hotels. For 25 years,
How do they know that?
Well, for 25 years, she was a resident in the luxurious Hotel Tuller in Detroit.
Nice.
She worked on writing her autobiography, The Bahama Queen, the autobiography of Gertrude Lythgoe.
She was Cleo.
And it was published in 1965. Well, unfortunately for Gertrude Lythgoe, she died in Los Angeles in June of 1974 at the age of 86.
She was 86. She lived a long life. She did a lot of things. And obviously, she got to see the world. She was in the Bahamas, Detroit, and then California. I mean, come on. Good for her.
Dude, 1974.
Good for her.
She went from the late 1800s to 1974. What a fucking life.
86 years old, bud.
What a life.
Right. That's what I'm saying. She got to see everything.
She literally experienced every technological advancement of the 21st or the 20th century she saw take place.
1974, yeah.
She went from probably no electricity in her early days. Maybe she did, but it was scarce in a lot of places.
Right.
To electricity everywhere, cars driving on the road now, phones, fucking
train.
Up until
I always say trains.
Yeah, up until movies, music now on the radio all the time, TVs, up till planes in World War I and World War II and the whole Vietnam War almost. Fucking, I mean,
both Vietnam Wars. Both Vietnam Wars.
Vietnam War.
Not both. Both World Wars. The Vietnam War.
Vietnam War ended in like 76, so she died a couple years before.
She's seen all that.
What's she seen? Yeah, she's
seen both World Wars.
Right. The rise of Los Angeles.
She's seen Titanic sink.
Right. Well, she heard about it.
Right.
Well, she's seen it. That'd be pretty amazing if she did.
Fucking seen that shit.
That'd be pretty fucking amazing. She's the one that took all those pictures. She took the picture of the famous glacier, supposedly.
Right. But yeah, 86 years old in 1974.
What a hell of a fucking life, dude.
I mean, right.
Hell of a life.
Right. Good for her. She did things.
And really good for all these women that we just covered here.
Right.
You really hear about the women of, especially Prohibition.
I mean, they seem decent. We don't know about vicious murderings or anything. I mean, I'm sure they did, but they're not here.
Right. We didn't have no vicious. Well, one got viciously murdered.
Right.
But other than that, they were what women are. Pretty much bosses and fucking. Ran
that shit right.
Right.
Ran that shit right. And got caught on stupidity.
Yeah. Maggie Bailey, queen of the mountain bootleggers over there in Kentucky.
Yeah, she did.
The rum running queen, also known as Willie Carter Sharp, running shit in Virginia.
That was fantastic.
And one of the very first
the Hooch Hunter.
Prohibition.
Lady Hooch.
Lady Prohibition. Lady Hooch Hunter.
Right.
Daisy Simpson, Agent Daisy Simpson,
yep,
working in Chicago, New York, San Francisco, multiple disguises to arrest people on the spot. Then we had Miss Bessie.
Bessie Stockman,
Canada's most famous woman.
It became a story about
bootlegger.
Rocco, but what are you gonna do?
About what?
About Rocco?
No,
it did.
It didn't.
It took over Rocco.
You made it take over Rocco.
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 Hey, Rocco. But that bitch got murdered, but her husband didn't.
Right.
So Rocco has something to do.
Yeah, what we just got done. Gertrude Lythgoe, probably the most.
I would say
probably the most amazing story that we did
so far.
Fitting that we saved it for. I'm talking about in the women category, not so far.
Right.
But this is
so
all
far tonight.
This is all the women category. Besides Bonnie, I don't think we'll cover a lot of too many women outlaws after this. To be honest with you,
maybe there's a few.
Yeah, I don't know about that, but yeah, that was the women of your Prohibition era.
I'm sure there's many more.
Nice little.
It's decent.
Nice little getaway from all the famous guys that you hear about. You never hear about the women that were badasses back then, but
and I can totally see it too. These bitches fucking ran shit. I guarantee it. Fucking ran shit.
They ran shit. They was bitches and they ran shit.
Getting.
That's gonna do it for this episode. I think next week. I'm not even going to promise anything because I've been saying we're going to have the smorgasbord for the last 2 weeks and then something happens. But
that's always going to be the last show, so you know that's...
Well, no, the last show is always going to be the impact of Prohibition, what it did on the nation and all that stuff.
It's got to transfer to the other
We'll see what we come up with. You'll see it on social media. You can go follow us at OGMM Podcast on Twitter, and that'll be the updates for all the upcoming shows, what we're going to do, and anything new with our show. Also... over on the Bang and Dang Show, our other podcast that we do separately from the Creative Control Network, where we just take random news stories, anything that's going on in sports,
for the past week.
Music. Yeah, in the week that we do it, every Friday we release it, and whatever's happened in the last week that we release our show, we just fucking talk about. Could be politics, could be sports, could be news, anything stupid, anything, always a dumb criminal in there somewhere. So, and pretty much just us. Like you've seen tonight, kind of was like a Bang Dang type
pretty much
show because we went off in all these other directions that typically happens in the Bang Dang Show. But yeah, that's over there at the Bang Dang Show, wherever you get your podcasts. And we'll be back next week for another episode of the Outlaws and Gunslingers exclusively here on the Creative Control Network. We're the Mouth of Michiganders with
Bang Dang!